Hello there. Thank you for joining in. Okay, thank you so much for joining in. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the data. And I believe you started getting value from even right from Model 1. Okay, I believe you started getting value. If you're just joining us, welcome. I'm Debbie Anifowoshe and I'm your host for tonight, for this afternoon. All right, so please, if you're just joining in, you can follow up by listening to the video in module 1, and then you can join us for module 2. Don't worry, this video is going to be here for a while. I'm not taking it down, so you can always be a part of it. Okay, so let's go into the business of the day. Now, before I do that, I just want to run a quick recap on Module 1. We talked about what comprehension is, we talked about factors that can affect comprehension, and we also mentioned the signs of comprehension difficulty. All right, in Module 2, we'll start off by talking about comprehension skills. So there are different skills that help in comprehending. There are skills, the skills are skills that everyone must have if they intend to be good comprehenders. Okay, all right. So the number one skill here I'm talking about is what I call the reading skill. Um, the reading skill is actually the most important skill in comprehending written words. If you intend to comprehend written words, then you must know how to read. Now, why do we read? We read in order to get information, verify information, relax, pass time, enhance knowledge, enhance fluency. All right. So these are some of the reasons we are actually read. Okay, and I'm sure you agree with me on that, right? Now we have what we call the reading speed. Now for the normal reading speed, you might have at the end of this, you might judge what your reading speed is. Okay, how can you achieve that? You can get a stopwatch and read something, and that will determine what's your reading speed, you know, what level you are at. All right, so normal reading speed is believed to be 200 to 220 words per minute, and why average the average reading speed is 250 to 350 words per minute. Now when they say you're good, okay, you're good, right? That's 500 to 700 words per minute. Now when you guru, but I don't know how do people achieve this. Well, I can tell. That's 1,000 and above per minute, and like I said in my slide, you must be really exceptional to read this in a minute. I mean, how do you catch your breath? Please, I would like to know in the comment box, what do you think your reading speed is? I want to know if we have the gurus of the gurus here. All right, so tell me what your reading speed is. Okay, so whenever you're reading, there should be an interaction between you and the text. Interaction here could mean, being psychologically present and aware. All right. I would like to just mention a little about this. Now, this happens a lot to me when I'm reading a text that is boring. I find myself getting lost several times, lost in thought, and as a result of that, I keep rereading the text until I can physically, be in tune with what I'm reading. Okay, so um, text here actually means not just letters, it means words, sentences, and it also means paragraph. So when you're not, there's no interaction between you and what you're reading. When you're absent-minded, okay, when you're lost in thought, now it's gonna affect your reading, it's gonna affect your I hope that was clear enough. Okay, so we're going to talk about reading techniques. Now we have several types of reading techniques that you should take note of from this class. All right, we have the reading techniques called scanning. Okay, we have the reading techniques called scanning. Now, what do we mean by scanning? Scanning, like the word implies, you read from the top to bottom very quickly because you just want to find the specific information. You're not interested in knowing what the old text is all about. All you're interested in doing is finding a specific information. So because of that, you scan so that you can, get that information. Note the word specific. All right. The next one is what we call skimming. Now, when you're skimming, it is believed that you read from the top to the bottom also very quickly to find the most important information. The specific information might not necessarily be the most important information. So you skim to achieve that. All right, the third type of reading is what I call the intensive reading. This means you read to find details of that specific information. All right, remember scanning, you're looking for a specific information. Then the details surrounding the information, you do an intensive reading to get that. All right, extensive reading has to do with finding what exactly, I mean, what are these people talking about? That's what extensive reading, you know, is all about. Now, the problem I actually find that is quite general is this. When people ought to do extensive reading, they are skimming or scanning. The moment you don't know what you ought to do for what passage or for what text or for what work of literary of what work of literature, now you've actually caused a big problem for yourself. So always be careful. Know if you ought to skim, to scan, to read intensively, or to read extensively before you go into, you know, answering of the questions, if there is a question, or before you even make a comment, before you respond to whatever it is that you've read. I hope that was clear. All right. The next skill we'll be talking about is what I call the decoding skill. If you're just joining in, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I'm happy to have you here. I'm so glad you joined, you showed up, all right? And I'm sure you've been enjoying this class because I've been enjoying telling you about it too. Okay, so we'll be talking about the decoding skill. Now, decoding skill is a reading skill, but for the sake of this class, I chose to separate it for emphasis. Decoding skill emphasizes phonemic and awareness, all right? And as a diction coach, I actually teach decoding skills to kids between the ages of 4 to 9. My book, my speech sounds book 3 and 4, I have about 2 to 3 weeks dedicated to phonemes, teaching of phonemes. Now, decoding skills is oftentimes what dyslexic people, what they lack. That's they can process. They can process sounds. So decoding skills, is it facilitates reading because you can recognize sounds in a word and you can easily make the connection. Okay. Um, if you want to really understand reading as a whole, that I have a course coming up next month. It's on how to help your child read. All right, so if you think you are up for this course, sign up for it. All right, sign up for it. Okay, so let's go to the next skill. Another skill that can help you in comprehension is what we call fluency. Now, this skill helps one to read smoothly. You read smoothly at a good pace or at a good speed. Okay, we talked about reading speed earlier on, right? If you're not fluent, you'll struggle. Okay, and how do you achieve fluency? Fluency is achieved when you can decode instantly. It doesn't impede your reading flow. When you see a word and you can decode its pronunciation, you can decode its meaning, it doesn't impede your flow. If you're reading a word now and all of a sudden you come across a word like I mentioned the other time, I came across the word platitude. I had to stop because that was new to me. So I had to stop. Now it has affected my reading flow. Like I said, thankfully, I still understood the context of the text. However, imagine if platitude was a key information, was a specific information in the text. I would affect my reading flow, my fluency, my meaning, my decoding skill, everything will be affected. All right. So, and this can affect comprehension. So, for those who have dyslexia, they would need extra effort to achieve fluency. All right. They will need extra effort to achieve fluency. I hope you're enjoying this class with me. And remember, we're talking about the various comprehension skills. We've talked about we've talked about reading skills. We've talked about decoding skills. We've talked about fluency. Now let's talk about vocabulary. This is the biggest enemy of comprehension. Trust me on this one. It is. It is the biggest enemy because they can be very tricky. Why? A word in isolation can have a different meaning when it's used in context. Have you ever wondered some of the reasons why um, children who write external examinations like GCE and all that, they fail in English language? Because they underline some words in the comprehension passage and tell them to get the nearest in meaning or the opposite in meaning to the way it was used in the passage. That's tricky. Okay, let me give you this example. While I was preparing this course, um, someone was reading beside me, an elderly woman, and she asked, "What's the meaning of steak?" I mean, steak, and I was like, I mean, I thought that was obvious. Steak. When you say steak, steak wood, and all that. And she said, no, that's why she's confused. That then she had to say it in she interpreted it in Yoruba, which happens to be my local language. She interpreted it. I said, yes, I got what you said, ma'am, the first time, and I just told you the meaning. Oh, then as soon as I said that, it dawned on me. Oh no, so that usage was a noun. Stick. The definition I gave her was a noun. What definition? The definition she needed was the one that in the context of a verb. So I understood. She was confused. She didn't know the verbal, the meaning as a verb, but she knew it as a noun. So I had to tell her that, oh, you mean when we say stick in that context, it means to join, okay, to be joined together and all that. And she was like, oh, thank you, thank you. Okay, so that's how vocabulary can be tricky. So you need to have a rich vocabulary. If you're among those people who still say, oh, English help, or English is not my mother's tongue, you're doing yourself a great deal of harm. Okay, a great deal of harm, because the more you begin to profess such words, the more you begin to kill the vibe, the positive vibes that ought to help you, attain fluency. You're killing it. The more you begin to make excuses for not speaking right, for not developing yourself in terms of language skills, the more your vocabulary bank becomes dormant. Okay. And to develop this vocabulary skill, you need to read across various topics. You need to have discussions. You even need to play word games like Scrabble, all right? Play Scrabble. It's a good game. Now, lack of this skill can affect comprehension. Even when you've perfected all of the skills, that's the truth. If you're so good at decoding and all of that, vocabulary skills can can bring you shame. That's the truth. It can. It can cause your thoughts to be interrupted, or worse, it can cause your thought to be misunderstood. So imagine if the writer is saying this and you understand that. Now you understand what that means, right? Okay, that means the old meaning of the text will be lost on you. It will be lost on you that way. All right, let's see another skill. Another skill I'm talking about here is cohesion. Now, cohesion is from the word coherence, and it's like the ability to link all the ideas in the passage. I've talked about it slightly, I think, in module one. When you can link the ideas, and I've told you one of the ways to achieve cohesion, okay, is to understand the use of transitional devices. That's majorly conjunctions. Understand how conjunctions are used. Understand conjunctions that contrast. Understand conjunctions that give conditions. Understand conjunctions that agree on the same thing, okay, that show equal position. Okay, an example of that is when someone uses and you don't say, if you're reading something and it says um she's a girl and she's cute. Now that's an agreement, they agree on the same, they have the same position. But if it says she's a girl but, now the moment you say but, prepare your mind for something that negates, whatever a girl is supposed to be like. All right. Okay, so now that's what coherence does. When you're reading, watch out for these things. When you see words like nevertheless, pause, take a pause. When you see words like meanwhile, you want to take a pause and link it. You might have to go back to where you're coming from if you're not following, okay, so to understand why that transitional device was used. So coherence helps you compare, contrast, and connect. It relates ideas to each other in a text that has proven difficult for some. Okay, but it can be remedied. Actually, it can. I'm telling you. And all you just have to do is watch out for connectors, transitional devices. Okay, so, however, although, meanwhile, but, nevertheless, okay, just watch out for them when you're reading. Those connectors are pointers to the flow of ideas into each other. It tells you how the ideas, how they are cemented, all right, how they are being interwoven, all right. So that's what you need to grow into this, all right. Let's go to our next skill. Background knowledge. Now, background knowledge, this skill can actually make or mar you as a reader. I'm telling you. As a matter of fact, I think it mars a lot of people than it makes them. I might be wrong, but that's what I observe. When you think you know something, and because of that, you're not patient enough to see it from another light. It makes you infer sometimes wrongly. All right. Okay, you begin to, it's a great tool. Background knowledge, I don't know how to explain this by I don't know how to strike a balance. That's the word. I don't know how to strike a balance because background knowledge is very useful. I repeat, especially if you, I mean, take for instance, I'm a product of social sciences. Imagine me having to read the medical text. I will struggle. But imagine someone who is a medical doctor having to read medical text. Background knowledge will come in handy for that person. Okay, so that's why I said we need to strike a balance, because background knowledge can also make you infer wrongly. All right, background knowledge can be a great tool in prediction, um, inference, or evaluation comprehension. Don't worry, you would understand this. What I just take note of that. In the course of this module, you're going to see the types of comprehension we have. So we have the prediction, comprehension, inference, and evaluation. So now this background skill, knowledge skill, is going to help you now. But like I said earlier, it can also make you infer wrongly. Sometimes what you think you know or what you know may not be connected to what you read, and this happens a lot on social media posts. A lot. There you see, because you feel you know something about this person's life, okay, and when they say something, you just connect it to the fact that, oh, this must be why she's saying that, that must be why she's saying that, and it might not be related. Okay, so sometimes when you have an opinion about someone, Whether this opinion is right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Okay, the there's that tendency for you to judge this person each time they say anything at all based on your opinion about them. So somehow you just keep looking for a way to connect every speech they make, everything they say, you just keep looking for a way to connect it to your opinion of them. And this can be very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to types of, okay. Oh, I have other comprehension skills here that I didn't expand that much. So we have reflection, that's the ability to think deeply. You must be someone who can think. You think left, you think right, you think forward, you think backwards. All right, it helps you. Summarization, this is the ability to use your words to explain what you read in few sentences. Pupils or who write external exams or final year exams will understand this better when you're asked to summarize the passage. Okay, you need that skill. Now compare comparison and contraction skills. Yes, that's the ability for you to analyze. When you have that ability to analyze, it's a skill that is quite valuable, very valuable. Okay. Um, Types of comprehension. Are you with me? Are you following? If you're following, type yes, I am. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Types of comprehension. You never knew. You didn't know. Sorry about that. There are types of comprehension. Not all comprehension is the same. No, not all comprehension. So you can see that on the slide. On my slide, I have types of comprehension here. Yes, so let's go into that properly. Types of comprehension. I have the literal comprehension. Literal comprehension just talks about a text that is, like it says, is literal. It's straightforward. It's you once you understand the location, the date, the vocabs, the facts, you understand the time settings and all that. It's you have the meaning. It's that direct because it's literal comprehension. It doesn't need you to rack your brain so much. All you just need to do is understand, you know, some key points there, and that's kind of comprehension. I call it sweet comprehension. So when you're reading a literal comprehension, now you can actually find your way around it without having issues. Now we also have the reorganization comprehension. Now, this kind of comprehension requires that you use information from various parts of the text for additional meaning. Like the word implies, you reorganize it. So that means you have to pick, you have to understand the whole text as a whole, then you begin to put the pieces together. Okay, that's what a reorganization kind of comprehension requires. Okay, now prediction comprehension. Here, you're the one who will determine what will happen next. So prediction is made based on your knowledge of the topic and the understanding of the topic. So it's like you saying, okay, you completed. I see questions like that. You see them in WAEC exams. WAEC will say, what do you think the writer was? You have to infer. You have to predict. Okay, inference. You infer based on your understanding and the background knowledge of the topic. Now, when you're given express permission to do that, please do. Okay, they want to test how you understood that in relation to your background knowledge. But when you're not asked to do that, please don't jump about making unnecessary inference, especially on social media. Okay. um Evaluation here, you're expected to make judgments based on your understanding of the text. Personal response comprehension requires you to respond based on your feelings or based on the information that was evoked by the text. Usually the answers are not to the text. Those answers, they come from you. those answers come from you. Okay, let's go to my next slide. Types of comprehension question. Actually, I wasn't going to add this to my slide, but I had to do that because of young people who I know might be listening to this. And some of them might want to take external exams. So they need to understand that different types of comprehension questions. Of course, we've talked about the types of comprehension itself. But remember, I'd also told you that sometimes you need to understand the question to know how to tackle the comprehension. All right. Okay, so the types of comprehension questions we have the direct questions. That's simple, direct. Who, what, all you just have to do is locate the answers in the passage. It's that simple. We have the inferential questions. These answers cannot be found directly in the passage. So what you have to do here is you have to deduce them from the passage. And what will help you here is your background knowledge, your reflection power, your prediction skills, your comparison or contrast skills. All of those things will help you skill inferential questions. Those kind of questions are where you see explain clearly, suggest. That's it. So that's it. Now we have the rephrasing question. Rephrasing question here, your summarization skill here will come in handy when you can summarize, right? Rephrasing questions. So the answer to rephrasing question is summarize. Vocabulary question. Now, when they tell you that that word that has been underlined or that is in bold or in italics needs a replacement, a contextual replacement, all right? Maybe a synonym or an antonym or whatever. Yeah, like the example on my slide here, when you see a sentence that says, make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's. Make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's. And the underline, cross your T's and dot your I's. What do you understand that to mean? I want to see the answers in the comment box. I want to know if you're following me. All right, I want to know if you're following me. Another type of question is interpreting questions. This one requires a lot of reflecting skill. You really have to reflect here, think. And this type of comprehension questions, they ask questions that are inferential, they are reorganizing, they're evaluating, okay? And for you to understand or to even answer this kind of question, you must be able to think intelligently. And these interpreting questions can even be answered in two ways. It's deep. It's deep. Okay. Now we have what we call the empirical answers. Look at this question. Look at this answer. He ate as the bride danced. He ate as the bride danced. Now the question here will be, why was he eating? An empirical answer. Now, the text says he ate as the bride danced. That was all the information in the passage. He ate as the bride danced. Now the question is, why was he eating? Now the text didn't address that. So that means you have to think. What could make someone eat while the bride danced? You need to think. What do you think? Well, I think it was because at that time it was served his food. If you ask me, that's what I'm gonna say. It was served as food. So that's an empirical answer. A logical, answer. Let's see this text. Same text. Yet as a bride danced. The question, where was the bride dancing? It could even be, why was the bride dancing? Where was the bride dancing? That's text. Didn't say anything like that. But The fact that you can think and you know that when you hear the word bride, what comes to mind? Wedding. That's correct. Wedding and bride is a logical analogy. All right. So, where was she dancing? She was dancing at a wedding party, because if it wasn't a wedding party, she wouldn't have been called a bride. Do you like that logic? I love it. But that's what all of this is all about. You know, sometimes we joke around some of these things. Okay, I don't want to keep you longer than necessary. Strategies that aid comprehension. What are those things that you can do? Please note that there are different strategies for different comprehension texts. We've talked about the types of comprehension, so I don't need to go back into that. Now, of course, an academic journal and a bedtime story will not need the same comprehension skill or strategy. You know that, right? Okay. So, the type of question and the time available to answer, you know, this question also determines which strategy to use. So you have to do that finding on your own to discover what kind of strategy should I use, what should I apply. All right, strategy one, you can survey the text, that's by scanning or you skim. Remember we talked about scanning or skimming. Then after you've done that, you read and you reread. That means you read, then you go back and read again. Then you visualize. I told you visual power is a very wonderful power. Okay, so you visualize, you create images of what you're reading in your mind. Create the image. You make connections. You know, cohesion. I've mentioned that before. Background knowledge. Begin to place the ideas in the passage or in the text or in the post. Put them together. Now ask yourself questions. Ask yourself questions. Don't just jump into, ask questions. Does this person mean what this person, does this person mean what she's saying this way? Ask questions. Take notes. If you can, jot, make some jottings. Pause to think. Think. Mark up the book. Now that happens when the book is yours, please. If you borrowed the book, please don't mark someone's book. All right, so you can make, you know, you can use a highlighter, you can use your pencil, your pen. Mark up the book to detect salient points. Find out what's important. All right, find out the specific information, the general information. Make inference and draw conclusions. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm sure you've gotten value. I'm very sure you've gotten value. And I'm happy you joined me till the end of this class. I'm going to drop a link in the comments where you can download your worksheets. All right. Please look at this slide. You send your answers to the email box, to the email address written on this slide. Please take note of that. All right. And please take note of the worksheets link. I'll drop that in the comments. It's going to be in the comments. I want you to attend to those worksheets. The worksheet is there in JPEG and PDF, so whichever form you prefer, you can actually download it. But I want to see your answers. I want to see your answers. I would really love to see your answers. I also would like to read your feedback. I appreciate it. Tell me something you gained from this class. Tell me what you enjoyed from this class. Tell me what you didn't enjoy in this class. Tell me what you would like to see some of the time. And if you're interested in the helping your child read course, let me know. Just send me a mail and I will give you all the information you need concerning that. Thank you so much for listening. I am Debbie Anifowoshe. Please don't forget to like our page, Tall Legacy Consult. You can share this video so that people a large number of people can benefit from it. I'm sure you know that a lot of people have issues with comprehension, and I think these videos will help them overcome these issues. Alright, so I'll see you some other time. Bye for now.